My name is Togastai. I'm one of the hereditary chiefs, actually a wing chief that comes from the Sun House in the Wet'suwet'en territory, which is in central BC. Our people have been inundated with numerous industrial activities that have devastated our waters and our lands for almost over 150 years. Lately, we're faced with something called pipelines. And it's not just one pipeline. There are 5 separate pipelines that they want to run through our territory in a place that they're calling the Energy Corridor in British Columbia. These pipelines include 4 pipelines that want to run dirty oil from the tar sands to the coast in British Columbia, right through the heartland of our territory. Our people are opposed to the pipeline. We're adamantly opposed to it. We're going to resist it. We're going to violently resist pipelines. The pipeline that they want to run through, so they're actually going through an environmental assessment process right now with it, is the Northern Gateway Enbridge pipeline. The Northern Gateway Enbridge pipeline is a dual pipeline system that they want to run condensate from Kitimat to the tar sands and dirty oil from the tar sands to Kitimat, put it on tanker ships that are about the size of the Empire State Building and run them through more complicated channels than Exxon Valdez went through. Our people had a meeting last June 5th and 6th. We invited people from the Haida Nation, the Haisla Nation, the Gitgat, the Tsimshian, our neighbors in Nadlewutan, our neighbors in Karisikani, and people from the tar sands. We assembled together in a thing that we call the Energy Summit. During that Energy Summit, there's a declaration that was crafted, and it was signed by all the people, the representatives from these different nations, who all stood up together and said that we completely oppose the entire scope of the whole Giga project. We're not just opposed to the tar sands, we're opposed to proposed tanker traffic on the coast, we're opposed to pipelines, and we're opposed to proposed CN transportation of dirty oil from the tar sands to the coast of British Columbia so they can reach Asian markets. I just got out of the shareholders meeting this morning, and I had a chance to kind of stand up and share our vision and our opposition to some of the investments that and the lending circles that the Royal Bank of Canada is involved in. And I pleaded with the board of directors, I pleaded with the president, the CEO, and also pleaded with the shareholders to seriously consider looking at exactly what the Royal Bank of Canada is doing. And it's an important message. Pay attention to what's happening with the investments in the lending circles that are created from the Royal Bank of Canada. It's destroying our planet. It's destroying our planet's ability to sustain us as human beings. And it will continue to do that. I fear that if we continue on with allowing banks like the RBC Bank to continue doing what they're doing, climate change is going to reach its tipping point, if it hasn't already, where it's going to be self-sustaining and continue changing our planet so that we can no longer exist on it. One of the founding principles that we have as Wet'suwet'en people is this philosophy of Wagus. Wagus is the Wet'suwet'en word, which means respect, but it also means humility. It's a word that we use to describe how we fit in with our environment. We have an intimate understanding of exactly how fragile our environment is and how fragile our actions are when it comes to how we deal with the environment and with each other.
My name is Kits Crazy Boy. I'm a Dene and a Blackfoot. I'm representing the Athabasca Chippewa First Nations, but also the Piikani Nation down in southern Alberta. I live directly south of Ground Zero for the tar sands. It is the biggest ecological disaster anywhere on the face of this earth, and it's only growing bigger every single day. It is an environmental holocaust. It's destroying everything around my area. Everything. It's polluting the air, the water, the land, everything. They got these things called tailings ponds, the most toxic substances you can have. They're just open, and they're getting bigger every single day. This is seeping into the Athabasca River. The Athabasca River connects all the way up to the Arctic Circle. We're poisoning everything north of us. There's rare cancers in my community of Fort Chip, and people are dying from it. It's this rare BL cancer. It's not this crazy, BL's the acronym for it, but statistically speaking, 1 out of every 100,000 people are going to get that. So it's just like some unfortunate person within 100,000 people would get this kind of cancer, and they'd be dead within about a month without medical help. In a community of less than 5,000 people, there's been more than 30 cases of this happening up in Fort Chip. When we talk about the tar sands, they pass the buck of blame to one another. And they start saying, well, we're following this environmental standard, we're following this environmental standard set by the Canadian government. Even the Royal Bank says we follow the standards set by the Canadian government. Environmental standards which are supposed to protect us. But there's a cancer cluster of people dying right now in Fort Chip. The Canadian government is allowing people to die right now, and they're doing nothing about it. A government that allows its own citizens or its neighboring nations or people within the country to willingly die is a government that has failed. The Royal Bank is following these standards right now, right to a T, and they too are failing. Because as we talk right now, as we gather here, people in my community are getting sick. People are dying. Even the animals. There's a dog who actually got cancer and died not too long ago. That's how bad it is. We can't drink the water. We used to about 10 to 15 years ago, right out the Athabasca River. Nobody wants to do that anymore. We used to be able to hunt the animals and skin them. There's a beautiful teaching about our relationship to the animals, our responsibility to take care of them. But we can't eat them anymore. We can't kill them. We're getting scared to eat them because too many people are dying right now. These are the standards that the World Bank is following right now. What do you think about it? When you begin to think about it, there's been forms of genocide happening. When colonists came here and they started to expand westward, there was Indian wars. Huge genocide, massive genocide. The second genocide they instituted was the residential schools to damage and demonize our culture, who we are, take away our identity. The third genocide that's happening right now is the industrial genocide. It's killing everything. And they're not going to stop until we're all dead. And nobody's doing a thing about it. Certainly not the Royal Bank, who's lending money to these tar sands. Certainly not the Canadian government. I met with the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development for Alberta. It's not even on his radar to be looking for what's causing the cancer. It's nowhere. But I'm glad to see so many people here. I do have an air of caution to all of you right now, though. The rate that we're expanding mines right now to become more involved within and be aware of what the tar sands is doing isn't matching the production of destruction that the tar sands is doing right now. In fact, we're losing. People in my community are getting pissed off, we're getting tired, we're getting angry. We're losing faith in the world around us. And all of you people here have a responsibility as Canadian citizens, even as human beings, to try to help us out, for our voice to be heard. We haven't been heard in the last 400 years. It's going to be through help, through you people here. But you guys have to work hard. Work as hard as you possibly can to get this message out there. Because if you don't, what we're headed for is a direct action. The longer this takes, this message to get out, I'm afraid it's going to be a violent direct action. Ask yourself, how many of your own family members could you bury in vain with questions around their death that aren't being answered right now? How many people can do that before you finally get pissed off and have to try to stop it by your own hands? If you could bury your children or your grandchildren, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, or your parents, how long would it take for you guys? Because that's what we're up against right now.